Hi everyone, it's Kelly here. Welcome to my channel if this is your first time. Welcome back if you've been before. Lovely to have you either way. On this channel we talk books, and today we are talking about the Disability Readathon. I first heard about this through Anna at her channel, Anna G, which I will link down in the description. Normally this Disability Readathon happens in April, but this year it is happening in May, and so hearing about it, I am able to participate. And when I heard Anna talking about the Disability Readathon, I was like, I wonder what I've got on my shelf. What have I got already in terms of physical books that I could read as part of this readathon. So the books I'm going to show you, I'm not intending to read all of these. That's not going to be possible. I have a lot. But I'm hoping to read at least a couple of these as part of my reading for the month of May. So let's have a look at the books that are my pile of possibilities for the Disability Readathon. All right, we're going to start out with non-fiction, and I'm starting with, and I will let you know just ahead, most of the authors of these books that I have in my collection are autistic. That is their disability. I will let you know the situations where that's not the case, but if I don't tell you what the person's disability is, just assume that it's autism. That's at least from what is known publicly. All right, so the first one is Different, Not Less by Chloe Hayden, a neurodivergence guide to embracing your true self and finding your happily ever after. Chloe Hayden is an Australian author, but also actress, and is very openly autistic and does a lot of advocacy work in that space as well. So this is sort of a guide, a sort of a memoir situation. So yeah, I have had this sitting on my shelf for a couple of years now, and I would be keen to read it, so perhaps this is the time. So this is kind of her talking about her sorry, my mistake. She is autistic and is also an ADHDer. So yeah, she's kind of talking about her journey to accepting herself, and moving through the world, working out how to do that in a neurodivergent body. So that's an exciting book that I do at some point hope to read. I mean, I guess I do at some point hope to read all of these books, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. The next non-fiction book I have is called Kerr Work, Dreaming Disability Justice, and this is by Leah, Lakshmi, Piepzna-Samarasinha. Hopefully I have said this author's name correctly. This is also an autistic author, and the work that they do is very much advocacy, disability justice work. So this is kind of a, manifesto? Maybe? I don't know. I haven't read it, obviously, so I don't really know. But yeah, it says Care Work is a mapping of access as radical love, a celebration of the work that sick and disabled queer/people of colour are doing to find each other and to build power and community, and a toolkit for everyone who wants to build radically resilient, sustainable communities of liberation where no one is left behind. Which sounds amazing. So yeah, I am keen to read this one, and we'll see if it's one that I can get to. I'm going to try and stop saying that because that's the case for all of these. The last of my non-fiction books that I have pulled out to show you is Unmasking for Life, a guide to embracing your autism in a neurotypical world, and this is by Dr. Devon Price. The book of his that I've read is called Unmasking Autism, which was 5 stars. It was a really excellent book, and I pre-ordered this one and then didn't read it. So this is kind of a follow-up to that book, and I think kind of goes into more detail, gives more stories. Yeah. So this is about helping people to advocate for needs and invent a new way of living that works for you, using 5 key skills: accepting loss and change, engaging in productive conflict, transgressing unfair rules. We love a little rule break every now and again. Tolerating distress, and creating new accommodations and relationship structure. So I'm interested to see what he has to say about all of those things. And yeah, definitely looking forward to that one. All right, I'm going to move now into fiction, and I've kind of split these, the fiction books that I have up into some categories. So I'm going to start with some romance, move into some YA, then into some middle grade, and then come back for some contemporary adult fiction. So starting with the romance, I have 2 books by Talia Hibbert. I have Get a Life, Chloe Brown, and Act Your Age, Eve Brown. Both of these books not only are written by a disabled author. So Talia Hibbert, on her author profile, she openly says that she's autistic, but she also has Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which is actually a really common co-occurring condition that a lot of autistic people can have, and it can become a very debilitating condition, and there are multiple different ways that it presents. As some different subtypes. The one I'm most familiar with is the hypermobile type of EDS, and yeah, it can be a real very physically disabling condition to have. Anyway, Talia Hibbert has written a series of these, and as well as herself being a disabled person, the characters in these books are also disabled, which I really love, because you know when a person with lived experience writes those characters, you know you're getting an authentic portrayal of what that's like. So if you're not a person who has chronic pain, for example, and you read about a character with chronic pain written by someone who has chronic pain, then you're going to get a good representation of what that could be like. And similarly with autism. So I am looking forward to trying these out. I don't read a whole lot of romance books, but I am keen to find really good ones. So if you've read these, let me know, and let me know what you think. I know that in the series, this is book 1 and 3, and there's one in between that I don't have. But I also believe that these 2 other ones that have disability rep in them as well. Okay. The next one is kind of a crossover because it's a romance, but it's also a YA, and that is Social Cue by Kerr. Kerr is an Australian author, and she is autistic. And this is a book that is about a woman called Zoe Kelly, who is has just come out of high school, hence it being YA, kind of like that new adult, I guess, category. But she's going into her next phase of her life after school, and she's got an internship at an online media company, which is where she's heading. She wants to be a writer, so she's excited about this, but the first piece that she has to write for this online media company is about her non-existent dating life, and that goes viral, and then she gets a little bit overwhelmed and surprised by the response, and then she's got this basically social cue of potential suitors who are coming to date her. Yeah, so it should be interesting. I've heard really good things about this book, so I'm really excited about it, and I do really want to get to it. I said I was going to stop saying that. Okay, moving into the YA section, I just have one other YA book to show you, which is Akata Witch by Nnedi Okorafor. I've read one book by this author before, Bindi, which I felt a bit mid about, so I'm not 100% convinced on the writing. So yeah, we'll see how we do. So the disability that Nnedi Okorafor has is chronic pain and mobility issues. I don't believe that those are a feature of this story as far as I can tell. So this is more just a, you know, a general sci-fi, I think, or perhaps fantasy YA that is just happens to be written by somebody with a disability. I know that she also has written some other things that do centre disability a little bit more, so if you're interested in reading more from her, you might look into some of those other titles, but this is the one that I have on my shelf. I should tell you about it before I put it down. So this is about a character called Sunny who lives in Nigeria, but she was born in New York City. Her features are West African, but she's albino. I guess is that a disability? Yeah, I guess it would be. So maybe, but I don't believe that the author is albino. So it's not an own voices in that way. She's a terrific athlete, but can't go out into the sun to play soccer. There seems to be no place where she fits in, and then she discovers something amazing. She is a free agent with latent magical power. So yeah, fantasy is the genre. And she has a lot of catching up to do. Soon she's part of a quartet of magic students studying the visible and invisible, learning to change reality. But just as she's finding her footing, Sunny and her friends are asked by the magical authorities to help track down a career criminal who knows magic too. Will their training be enough to help them against a threat whose powers greatly outnumber theirs? So that's Akata Witch. And this is the beginning of a duology, and the second one is called Akata Warrior. It's on the back. But I only have this one, so we'll see how we do with that one. Okay, moving into middle grade now, I have a copy of A Kind of Spark by Elle McNicoll. Elle McNicoll is an autistic author, and this the central character of this book is also autistic. There was a TV show made of this, which I have seen and enjoyed. So yeah, I'm keen to read the book of it as well. But essentially, we are focused on a character called Addie, and she believes that so in her hometown where she lives, there were witch trials in the past, and she comes to believe that there's more to the story of these witches, and she believes that potentially these witches might have been autistic people who were different to the majority of people in their town, and therefore were targeted in these witch trials. And the story kind of unfolds from there, and I really enjoyed the TV show of it, so I think I will also enjoy the book. The next one that I have is an Australian classic, and it is called I Can Jump Puddles by Alan Marshall. This is sort of a like part memoir, part story, I guess, because when he was a young child, Alan Marshall contracted polio and was left with physical disabilities from that, having polio, and he was on crutches for the rest of his life. So yeah, and this was... this is a part of a series of Australian classics that I have that were put out by Penguin Viking. I have almost all of them. There's one more I don't have, but I only just recently acquired this one secondhand, which was very exciting. These are no longer in... they're no longer available to buy, so secondhand is the way to go. And the one that I don't have, very, very expensive to buy online. Very hard to find. So I'm hoping that at some point I will just magically come across it secondhand and complete my collection, but I'm not going to hold my breath. Anyway, back to this book. As I said, this is sort of a something of a memoir about his life and how he begins to... begins to explore his... explore what his body can do, and to kind of develop his identity, because this happened in his childhood. So yeah, it said he was born in Victoria in 1902. When he was 6, he contracted polio, which caused paralysis in his legs. In his later life, Alan remarked that being on crutches from this time forced him to be an observer, an onlooker, and a more compassionate person, all qualities of a successful novelist. His work is characterised by his astute eye for detail and his ability to illuminate life's small but meaningful moments. So yeah, that's that one. Then I have two, and these are the last two of the middle grade section, two books by AJ Sass. So I have Anna on the Edge and Ellen Outside the Lines. AJ Sass is autistic and writes about autistic characters. So these two characters in these two middle grade books are autistic. The first one is an ice skating character. So yeah, that's not a summary of the story. So she's 12 and she's called Anna Marie Jin, and she is the reigning US juvenile figure skating champion. And she learns that the next season's program is going to be princess themed, and she is not a frilly dressed kind of person. Then she's kind of working through that. And then it's about the development of a friendship between Anna and Hayden, who is a transgender boy new to the rink. So yeah, that's that one. And then for Ellen Outside the Lines, Ellen isn't like the other kids in her class. She knows most 13-year-olds don't need to plan out every detail of their lives or retreat into the quiet when life gets overwhelming or list everything and everyone in neat categories in a journal. She's always felt accepted by her best and only friend Laurel, who treats the fact that Ellen is autistic like it's no big deal. Only Laurel has started drifting away, which is a very big deal. So what happens as life changes for these characters. Okay. The final section, as I said, is adult contemporary, and I have this book, Cure, by Katherine Brabon, which is called Cure, and Katherine Brabon has chronic pain, and she wrote a really, really excellent book, the name of which escapes me, Body Friend, that I read a couple of years ago now and really enjoyed. I recently listened to an interview from that time where she was talking about that book, not this one, but about that previous book, and talking about her, the way that she hadn't previously wanted to write about chronic pain, even though that was something she was experiencing in her life, but finally felt she had something to say. And then in that interview she was talking about how she felt like she had more to say on the topic, and she felt like she would write another book about chronic pain, and here it is. This one only just came out towards the end of last year, and I picked it up as soon as I saw it in a bookshop, but haven't yet gotten to it. So this is about a mother and daughter, Vera and Thea. Vera writes for the internet. She constructs identities and scenarios for brands to cater to their ideal customer, yet she also consumes the offerings of the online world herself. The addictive pursuit of a cure, the narrative she craves in which mother and daughter find a way out of the shared experience of chronic illness. She becomes preoccupied with a blog written by a woman named Claudia, a mother whose daughter also has a chronic illness. While on holiday in Italy, Thea writes in her journal she is also constructing a character, an image of herself as she grapples with having the same illness as her mother, Vera. But gradually, another person emerges in her journal through her imaginings of the mother in the same house, the same city, at the same age. They have come to Italy to see where Vera's family originates, but also to chase a promised cure in the form of a man said to be able to heal Thea's illness. As they both grapple with their own narratives about their bodies and their wellness, all may not be as it seems. Perhaps the story does not necessarily need to be true for us to believe in it. So it's interesting because, this is a topic that I think a lot of disabled people grapple with, depending on what kind of disability they have, whether it is something that was caused by illness or if it's a lifelong difference. And yeah, I'm curious to read about this one. Anyway, okay, let's move on. Second to last book. This one is called The Wonderful Thing About Phoenix Rose by Josephine Moon. Josephine Moon is also an Australian author, and she is autistic. And this is a book about a 35-year-old neurodivergent teacher called Phoenix Rose, who is at a crossroads in her career and in her relationship with her boyfriend Zach. But when she receives an urgent plea from a friend in Tasmania who needs to rehome her beloved animals, Phoenix, who has always led with her heart, spontaneously decides to help. When she suddenly finds herself the custodian of an eccentric dog, 2 cats, a clutch of chickens, and a geriatric pony, she makes another snap decision to provide a new home for them all herself. The trouble is she will have to drive the menagerie all the way back to Brisbane in time to return to Zach and her job, and she cannot do it alone. She enlists the help of Lily, a colourful younger woman who is also neurodivergent, as well as resourceful members of their online community. Together, the new friends must navigate unexpected twists, setbacks, and moments of heartbreak and triumph as they both move towards a new identity and understanding of themselves. Which sounds like a romp. It sounds like an adventure. And the last book that I have is True Biz by Sarah Novick. Sarah Novick is deaf, and this is a book about a school for the deaf called River Valley School for the Deaf. And this is about the students there, and it kind of goes into like the lives of these people, of these deaf students. So yeah, I think this is going to be an interesting one as well, and I've had it for a little while now and haven't gotten to it. So yeah, let's see what I can get to from this stack during the month of May for the Disability Readathon. Thank you so much to the organisers of the readathon, and I'm hoping to, at the end of the month, make another video to report back about what I have read for the readathon from my stack and give you some reviews of some of those books. So thank you very much for watching. Let me know down in the comments if you are participating in the readathon, if you have any books on your shelves, recommendations for books that you have already read that you think are fantastic. You know, it'll be helpful for other people reading through the comments as well, to hear about different books that are written by disabled authors. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.